Up, all of your wonderful beings? It's Gage here, and today I got a special guest, Jay Beard. He has his own podcast. I forget the name now.
Unearthing Autism.
Unearthing Autism. Check it out. If you guys are really interested in just autism perspectives of everything. But yeah, we're gonna actually talk about Jay. I'm really curious about your journey, kind of with your autism diagnosis.
Yes, so I have not been diagnosed. I'm
Wow.
self-diagnosed,
Oh wow.
and I just discovered like about a year ago. It was really kind of random journey where my friend Morgan picked me up from the airport, and she had just realized she was autistic from watching TikTok videos, and she started listing the traits, and I was like, damn, like I didn't think there was an explanation for why I was always tapping with my hands and the sensory sensitivities and all that. And I started looking into it, and I got super obsessed. And I started seeing the traits in my family, and started talking to my friends about it. And my friends were like, "Oh yeah, we've like many of my friends knew I was autistic, but they would just never tell me," sort of thing. And so yeah, then ever since I've been kind of obsessed with the topic and immediately drawn to not just meeting other autistic people, but to help sharing my story and help people understand autism.
Dude, that is awesome, man, and it's in late diagnosis. Something I've been learning about because I was diagnosed at a young age, so it's kind of interesting to hear about late diagnosis. How was it like? How was it like growing up, not knowing you're autistic?
Yeah, in some ways, I didn't feel all that different from other people. Sometimes I always thought that the other people were the weird people, and that I was the logical one. um, and so I I've always been just kind of like a naturally happy person, even when I was a kid, and I've always had supportive parents that are also autistic. I think um, I have been blessed with the gift of music, and so I was great at music at a young age, and my parents started me off at lessons piano when I was 5, and so by the time I was in middle school, I was really good at guitar, and I was always able to make friends easier because I was so good at music. So yeah, I feel like I learned to socialize decently naturally, and so I haven't had that much of social issues. Um, but I do feel very different to other people in the ways that I look at the world and how I think that I'm more rational than a lot of people, um, logically driven, and I end up having very different opinions than other people. But it's cool because it leads me to look at things like music theory in a very unique way. So I have a YouTube channel, JBeard Music, and I teach music theory from like a geometric perspective.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yes. And I've invented this little object to represent the 12 notes of music in a dodecagon.
Hmm.
And yeah, basically, I think because I have such a unique perspective on things, it's I've got some cool insights into things like music theory, and yeah, it's really great to be able to think outside the box.
Yeah, I think it's good, and especially like I'm gonna be honest. Like today's society, it's like if you have an opinion about something, like no, you're wrong. It's like all the cancel culture really gets involved. It's like I think like opinions is good. You know, not agreeing on every single thing. How boring would it be? Like, hey
Yeah.
Joe, we you like baseball? Oh, same here. This play, it's like okay, this is getting really like I'm not learning anything. You,
Yeah, people are always going to get mad when you go away from the script, and it's like, oh well, there's new truths to be discovered. There's
yeah.
new ways to look at things, and we should embrace when people are going out on a limb with new ideas.
Yeah, and we get that fear. We're like, whoa, I don't know that. That's a lot of unknowns. I don't like that. It's like there
Yeah.
has to be unknowns, dude. Like being in the hostel in the forest, I didn't know. Like when I first got here, I was not. I was in a very depressed state. And I took that chance because you know it's like this is part of living, man. This is like this is. I told myself I would truly live my life, and that was part of it. Not doing things that you don't know what's going to happen. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's like we can choose to play it safe and not speak up when we have an idea that really differs from the norm. And like we all know when we're going out on a limb with these ideas,
Yeah.
and it usually feels life is more meaningful when we really go out on a limb and take the road less taken.
Yeah, I agree with that, dude. That's just life, man. It's like it's funny, People are like, "Oh, so what are you What are you looking? Are you scared to go back in the real world?" I'm like, "This is the real world, bro." Like, I kind of look at outside here. It's like the Matrix, man. It's like you can do everything you want, but we're like with social media, we're so stuck on it, like hours and hours, and we scroll, and I bet some of you guys are like, what? Where did I go? Like, what is that? You went unconscious.
It's a black hole.
Yeah, the black hole, dude. Like for me, I spent like 11 hours on the phone. I later my brother's like, you got to check that, dude. Look how many hours you spent. I'm like, holy shit, there's no way. It was like 4 hours or something. But you don't realize how much time you're spending on social media because you go unconscious.
Yeah, yeah. Being here in Hostel in the Forest, it helps. Yeah, it helps you live in the moment because the forest is beautiful and there's good friends around, so we get to enjoy the simple things in life and not be distracted.
Yeah, and you said this is your third time.
Yeah, yeah,
How has your experience been in the house in the forest?
yeah. It's a special experience each time. Yeah, like I met a really special person the first time I was here. Um, and yeah, this is pretty special right now.
Dude, awesome. The campfire, talking to other people. Like for me, it's like time is just a feeling. Like I heard these things, I'm like, oh, that kind of makes sense. And I didn't really feel it though. When I got here, I'm like, well, time is a feeling, man. Like people that I met like for a week or 3 days, and you have that connection. We have that deep connection. It's that like time. That's where time is just feeling. It's like I feel as close to this person that I know this person for 5 years. So it's like just the connection you have with that person, and that's what's amazing about here, man. It's like time. Like I've been here over a month, but it feels like it's been like 4 months. So it's like time is just a feeling.
Yes, yeah, time is in a sense a mental phenomenon, and time does feel slower here in the hostel. Um, yeah, it pulls us away from the routine. It's like a nice getaway spot.
Yeah.
It's good for the mental health.
Oh yeah, it's being here, man. It's really I feel like myself, but better because I didn't feel like my true self even outside of here. So I felt like I was getting there, but now I'm really feeling like who I want to be. Like I had this vision of who I wanted to be, and I felt I was running so hard to be that person because I was not happy where I was currently. I was not grateful for where I was because I was always looking ahead, and so I felt stuck, and that's where I got in a really depressive state, or it could have been also some burnout as well. But it was like 2 months, man. I just had no energy, and I just kind of lost. Like I was like I went so far, but I still find myself in the same place. I feel stuck. And so when the hostile force came to view, I was looking to get in the way, like a monastery or monk temple, just to study on them for a couple months and just try to get my mental right, find out who I want to be and figure out this blockage I'm feeling. And the hostile force there became perfect timing. My he's been here for a couple months, and he told me about it. I was like, this is kind of what I'm looking for. And I found my place here, and it's just the connections I've made, and I feel like myself again.
Yes, I feel like our happiness has so much to do with how much we feel like we're getting closer to our goals. And it's interesting to think like what are our goals, and we're kind of the ones that set the goals. And when you're out there in the matrix in the real world,
Yeah,
our goals are maybe not the best goals. You know, it's
yeah,
concerned with money and status and things like that. Whereas when you go out in nature, your goals are much simpler and much more achievable. It's like my goal is to get food in my body and to stay warm and to enjoy the company. And
yeah.
yeah, and then we feel more fulfilled.
Yeah, it's like sayings are the same, more simple. Like for me, I used to have, oh, I gotta do all these sayings, 20 sayings, and I just got up early in the morning. I was like, you know what, Gage, you gotta do two sayings, yoga and meditation, then the rest will come.
Yeah, so I meditate every morning, and I've been doing so for maybe 6 years or so. It's such a good routine. I just do like good old mindfulness, just hardly anything to it, just paying attention to the breath, and I'm always kind of I forget the word. Like I make sure to set a timer. I'm
Yeah,
disciplined about it, where I don't stop until the timer goes off,
yeah.
and a little bit of meditation every morning goes a long way.
It does. I do a priming meditation by Tony Robbins. Like I think about my goals, my memories, like the really that shock me. Like I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I haven't told really too many people this, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid to prime. I've done it like for 6 days. I was on it like every day, and now I'm afraid because I lost my son, or my cat son, I should say.
Yeah.
So people don't get confused. And I just get really fearful because I'm afraid to see the memories. Because Spade, I had him since I was a baby. That's why he's like a son to me. And I'm just afraid to see these memories because I'm afraid of breaking down. That's one of my barriers. One of the walls I'm breaking down because that's from my childhood. Because I felt like for it to be normal, I shouldn't cry. And from a male standpoint, you have to feel like you have to be a strong. So that's where it kind of comes through. And I had to realize that and like, Gage, this is, and I had to be vulnerable. I told people I was close with. I talked about it, and it made me realize a lot.
Do you have difficulty crying and processing emotions?
Um, I feel like I have a good control, but like sometimes, like I held like my tears and crying in. That sometimes I have a hard time crying in front of people, even though I want to, I just can't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I definitely struggle with yeah being able to cry and everything. And believe it or not, yeah, two things that helped me a lot with that. Um, One is actually music. So music, like, yeah, music is it will bring out the crying in me like nothing else. And what happens is I don't get sad immediately when sad events happen. It's more just like maybe like a month later when I'm listening to music that really gets to me, then it'll bring out the emotions. Um, so music is huge, but what really like opened up my emotions and everything, in the first place, it felt like how I had a breakthrough was with meditation. So I've done some long meditation retreats. I was on like a 14-day meditation retreat, and on one of the days, I just felt really heavy, and I combined in one of the breaks. I listened to music, and I really cried hard, and I was able to hear that there was a voice in my head saying like, "Hey, you shouldn't be crying,"
Yeah,
but I was able to overcome it and really let it out. And it's problematic to hold in emotions, and it's just one of those things. I think, especially autistic men, it can be difficult to process the emotions, and so
yeah,
it's good to know to have some tricks to know what we can do to bring them out.
yeah. And it's funny. I started crying like, when I found out, I was just in shock. I was crying, but after that, it's like I kind of go numb because I'm used to feeling that way. And music, like for me, I listen to I listen to Blue October, which is like a really sad music band, but I would listen to that and I finally start tearing up because I just felt the emotions. Like I feel it in the words, you know.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so I feel what you're saying there. It's like, and that's why I knew Primary's going to bring that emotion out too. That's why I'm like fearful of doing it, but it's like letting go of that fear. It's like it's going to come, and fear and being fearful, you can't be grateful. So I don't want to feel that way. So it's sometimes you gotta let that fear go and go through it. It creates courage, in my opinion. And
Yeah, yeah. You want to feel it out to the end. You don't want
yeah,
to suppress it.
Yeah, and going through that, and just letting that fear go, and fully, like I had a ceremony for Spade. We would just give her attention, and my intention, it's like Spade. I'm so grateful to have you in my life. It was harder. It was very hard to see him go because I've lost a lot of people I was close to, and I just said I hope the next life you live in their great life. Wherever you go, I hope you're doing good.
Mm.
And it makes it easier. And it's those things that really like it's. I'm able. I think I started crying. It was like the first time I was able to cry in front of people I trust. So it
Mm.
was a really beautiful experience. I just let go of that fear.
Yeah, yeah, it is especially tough in front of other people.
Oh, yeah. Your podcast. How long have you been doing that for?
Maybe about 9 months. We have like 8 episodes, and I've had like three different people on, and we just kind of explain autism in various ways, like some basics on like what it is and like why it's relevant to like for why it matters for people to understand that they're autistic. And we have an episode on how to tell if you're autistic. We have an episode on tips on how to stay regulated. So
Hmm.
so yeah, we hope to give some basic information on it and to give tips for coping. And then we also have episodes with guests on where we kind of share their story. So you met Katie, and so
Yeah.
we have an episode called Katie's Story, and yeah, we ask questions about what it was like for her growing up and realizing she's autistic. And I think that by people being able to see a few case studies, to be able to see a few examples of autistic people,
Yeah.
people can actually start to understand autism. Because autistic people are so different. It it presents very differently among
Yeah.
people, so you have to sample a wide, many autistic people to really get a picture of what it's like.
Yeah, and talking with you and Katie, it's really opened my horizons. My perspective of autism too. And, even growing up with it. And it's like with your with autism, what do you think autism speaks? Like that's one. That's like as I go forward, I'm looking at communities and I'm looking for ones that there's some that pretend to care, and then there's some that genuinely want to help and kind of bring more acceptance. Because I feel like there's a lot of awareness. Luckily, you're bringing that too, and but there's not that acceptance. It's
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people know that Autism Speaks is yeah, they have a bad view on autism, and it makes sense for autistic people themselves to be leading the cause for autistic people, and not have other people that have a negative view leading
yeah,
leading it.
exactly. Yeah, and it's like, the that autism is a disease, man. It's like they're trying to find a cure, and it's like, no, man. Autism is not a cure. It's something we're born with, and it's a gift.
Yeah,
It's a double edged sword. Like there's with pros, it has negatives, but that's where it goes. It's like trying to, and you're basically calling us a mistaken a disease. It's basically what you're saying with that, at least in my opinion. And even with vaccines, it's like they're still trying to find reasons on why autism is just something that's like a disease and it should be
yeah.
taken out. It's like no.
I would say like, so you think that Albert Einstein was poisoned before there was vaccines, and then it turned him into a genius. Like,
Damn, that's terrible, bro. Here's a genius. That must have been awful.
yeah, like it's silly to think that some poison would turn someone into a genius. Um, and so, yeah, basically, autism has strengths and weaknesses, and we're very aware of the weaknesses. That's what you'll, if you just like Google autism and see what the clinicians have to say, there's a big list of the weaknesses, but they're not really calculating the value of, as I said earlier, people people that think outside the box.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and people that are that, whose minds are great with music or art or
Yeah.
poetry and so on. So yeah, autism really adds a lot to humanity as a whole, and people should accept and embrace that and not reject it.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. It's just trying to understand it from their perspective. It's different, but difference is good. That's what creates what we all have today. Elon Musk is a big. He is doing a lot of amazing things with space, and he's actually autistic. So it's like people there. If autism really was a disease, these people wouldn't exist.
Yeah,
Albert Einstein would have never done that. What he did, be a genius and create different problems and a lot of math equations that probably help science too as well. So it's that and Elon Musk, and there's probably a few others. It's a gift, and it's different, but there's a reason we have it.
yeah, and most autistic people I know, we would all say like, if there was a pill we could take to make ourselves neurotypical, we would not do it.
No, 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 dude.
Like, yeah, this is a great fun life I'm living, and especially, you know, I would never want to trade my music skills just to be a little more normal in social settings. Like, um, yeah, I I love this trade off.
Yeah,
And it's a pleasure to look at life, to not be too caught up in the social traditions and all that.
yeah, I love that, and it's like even the traditions are like, well, autism people with autism probably don't really feel too much because they don't cry in situations or they act awkward. It's like no, we feel things, we just process them a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like maybe I'll feel it a month later for the sad
Yeah,
emotions, but I feel positive emotions very much. And I was talking about how, I've had a very fortunate upbringing. And so I'm a very happy person. I think I'm more happy and like less anxious than the average person, even compared to the neurotypicals and all that. So I know it's not exactly common with autistic people, but it can happen. And yeah, I think it's as long as autistic people can avoid like a lot of trauma when they're young and all that, and have a good upbringing and have opportunities to socialize when they're young, I think autistic people can live happy, successful, fulfilling lives just like anybody else.
yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and it's like when I was, especially people that were diagnosed early, we had to like do job sites, like 2 or 3 days a week. During where we really should be learning at school, picking up trash, and just doing things that we really shouldn't be doing. And laundromat, that to me was like a borderline. Well, it was child labor because we didn't get paid for it, or it was very little. Or it's like, oh, a pizza party. It's like they put us to this level, and it's like, no, we can do more than that. We don't have like clean trash, being janitors, and I have respect for janitors because they do a lot of shit. They do for a lot of shit, but like, like your expectations of us is wrong. You don't know what people, and I think we lost it. It's like, oh, this is where you're going to be. This is as far as you can go. What about our eyesight? If he would listen to everybody, he wouldn't have been a genius. If Elon Musk wouldn't have, if he listened to well, he wasn't diagnosed, but if he would have got diagnosed and listened to people that told him what he could and couldn't do, he wouldn't be where he's at today. So it's like, like my goal is to show everybody that is autistic, like you can go as far as you can, man. As long as you believe in yourself and stop listening to what society is trying to tell you, you're gonna go as far as you want. And you can live the life you want to. It's not impossible.
Yes. Yeah. Um, I think Elon was diagnosed, but otherwise, yeah, I like what you said.
Yeah, yeah, because I wasn't sure if he's diagnosed or not, or he just doesn't talk about it. But
Yeah, no, he talked about it on Saturday Night Live. He said, "I'm the first person to have openly been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome to
wow,
host SNL."
wow, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk, I'm a big fan of, dude. He's been doing some good work. So,
Yes, it's amazing he runs all these different companies.
dude, he's insane, dude. His drive, it's definitely autism because it's like insane.
Yes. And he's really outspoken, and he really um he believes in free speech, and he said straight up, like, I'm going to say what I believe to be true, and if I lose money, so be it.
I love that, dude.
And so, another great thing about autistic people is that they're very honest and driven towards justice and principles. And so, yeah, it's Twitter used to be a platform of censorship, and now it is one of the biggest free speech platforms. And yeah, that's due to Elon Musk.
Yeah, dude, I love it. And Twitter, a lot of people complain about it, but I think it's much better with Elon Musk, how he took control of that. And kind of made Twitter more open.
Yeah.
A lot of justice been, there's a lot of shit going on Twitter, and they're like, now there's people are, it's being brought up, like, this ain't gonna happen no more.
Yeah.
So I was really happy about that. Yeah, honestly, I'm just grateful to be meet you and Katie. It's been, honestly, just meeting you guys and talking through your perspective, dude. It's been awesome.
Yes. Thanks for having me on, and I'll have you on sometime for the Unearthing Autism podcast.
Oh, dude, I'm down, dude. That's gonna be awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, cheers.
I love you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this podcast with my guy Jay. Check out his podcast. It's on YouTube.
Yes, Unearthing Autism. And my music page is JBeard Music.
Yeah, check him out, guys. He does some great work, and I love you guys, and I hope you have a blessed day.